seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well then, good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV, here with the morning news show, as I am Monday to Friday, every single week at 10:03. Bang on time today. You might say I'm late. I say I'm bang on time. Anyway, we're here talking because it is starting to get serious. 1 week away from the soft deadline set by the Rain Group of next Friday for when Manchester United want the bidders in. And I'm going to run through the latest this morning from the big boys, from Matt Lawton from The Times, from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic, James Ducker, Tom Morgan, Sam Wallace, all from The Telegraph. There are lots of serious bidders involved in Manchester United. And by the sounds of it, 5 serious bidders. What I'm going to do is run through the latest updates on Sir Jim Ratcliffe, on Qatari interest, on Saudi interest, on interest from America. We're going to run through all of that because we all knew that February was going to be the month where things really started to heat up, and that's absolutely happening. Look, Barry's back. He's actually got a neck this time, unlike Eric Ten Hag, who didn't have a neck for the last few days. I need to get better. I need to get better at putting the mask on. It's a little bit awkward. But anyway, Barry's on there. I'm sure Barry will be looking over us. Now, there's one thing I really do want to say at the start of the show. Actually, I'm going to go down here, see who's joining in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, thank you very much for joining in. Big up the community, the best community that exists on YouTube. Absolutely. We've got Ruben watching from your sofa in Bulgaria. That's cool. We've got Carl watching from New Zealand. Good morning to you, Gary, Carl. We've got DeAndre Vickle watching from Uganda. We've got Charlie Hughes. Good morning to you, Vicky. I can see you there. Ant T. Sam. We've got Julie Gungshi. As always, it is indeed Barry. He's popped up. I mean, of course he's getting involved. Look, new owners. He's excited. David Jackson, Al Williams, Oliver van der Nacht. How you doing, buddy? Who's watching from Facebook? Let's have a quick look. Who have we got here? Daisy, I can see you there as well. Michael, we got Ramalingam. Good morning to you. Stephen Lawrence, good morning as well. Benny, John, and Rydon. So many of you joining in from all around the world. Let's get this party started, I suppose, is a way you could describe kind of how I'm feeling this morning. Kind of, I'm sure how you're feeling this morning. I mean, look at that straight away. Everyone's got those sweet, sweet Friday vibes. We've got Gungshi, Vicky, and Nathan. Man, when we do actually have a meetup, whenever it happens in the future, it's gonna be class. It's going to be drink sport for everyone, by everyone. Everyone's going to be absolutely blasted. But look, thank you very much, Vicky, Gungshi, and Nathan, for all your generosity, as always. And I keep saying it every day. All your generosity is helping me take the channel upwards. I'm bringing on new graphic designers. I'm bringing on somebody to help with the social side of things, somebody to help with the short video side of things. You're all helping making this happen. So big up to all of you. Legends indeed. Now, there's one thing I want to say here. Now, this is going to be my personal opinion, right? I appreciate that you might not have this same stance, but here we go. When it comes to the new owners of Manchester United, and I will speak about all the latest news and the updates on all of them, right? For me, it doesn't matter whether it's Qatari interest or Dubai or Saudi Arabia or Jim Ratcliffe or Apple or Amazon or America or anywhere else. For me, there's one thing that unites everything, every single one of them. Manchester United have to become a debt-free football club under our new owners. For me, I'm gonna do a video on this maybe next week, maybe the week after. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm gonna do my own list of things that I consider really important for our new owners, and we can talk about new infrastructure. We can talk about transfer budgets. We can talk about fan representation. There's lots and lots of things. For me, the thing sitting at the very top of that list is making sure that Manchester United become a debt-free football club. We were a debt-free club before the Glazers came in, and we absolutely have to be a debt-free club when the Glazers leave. That has been the straitjacket. It's not exactly restricted our spending. Well, I mean, it has. We've wasted over $1 billion because idiots in charge were not there. Well, the wrong people were in charge. But for me, as I said, this is a personal perspective, and I'm sure this is going to sort of drive my decision as to who I think is the most suitable owner. We have to become a debt-free football club again. That's the absolute must. And as I said, I know that there are going to be some of you who might put other things as more important than that. And I can understand. This is going to be a game of opinions here. But I just wanted to say that at the start of this show, before we go in and we talk through all these bidders and we can speak through who they are, right? Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Gary, you're saying debt-free and football club onto the back. Imagine that. That was taken off. When was it? I can't remember what year that was taken off. Debt-free is a must, says Mr. Anderson. Look, Dillinger, trust me, I'm going to be running through this. This isn't me just completely ruling out the idea of Jim Ratcliffe. I did my video on the Jim Ratcliffe and the Goldman Sachs situation yesterday because things are developing so fast that I can't always wait for the morning show. Sometimes, well, yesterday I did 3 videos. I don't know how many videos I did yesterday. I did the live show plus 2 videos plus some short videos. Just things are really moving at a rapid pace. So make sure you're part of the community. Make sure you subscribe if you want to keep it all. Let me run through the latest that we're hearing after big developments yesterday. As I said, from all the big hitters in the newspapers, right? Let's start with the Times. Let's start with Matt Lawton. He's saying that there are at least 5 bidders that are ready to meet a £5 billion price for Manchester United. Let's read the article. At least 5 serious bidders are preparing to do battle in the bid to buy Manchester United. Now, we know Sir Jim Ratcliffe is one of them. A fund linked to the Qatari royal family remains undecided on whether to table an offer, but we know full well about the developments that happened yesterday with Ratcliffe. Now, what I'm going to say here quickly, let me run through it. I'm going to run through the article from the Times, the Telegraph, the Athletic, and the Daily Mail, and then we can have a conversation about Jim Ratcliffe. All right, I'm going to cover everything that happened. It's a 45-minute show. I'm going to cover it all. I'm going to do it in order. All right, Luga, I see you there joining as a member, man, buddy. Bruce, look, I accidentally clicked on that comment, but I know you're not the only one who says that. There are quite a lot of United fans that do say that, right? It is the case. Luke, look at that. You gifted 5 memberships as well. What an absolute dumb, mate. Four of you already this morning. Legends. Man, I love this. I love this community. I really, really do. Let's continue reading this article. Now, we don't need any sort of backstory on Ratcliffe here. Ratcliffe, look, okay, we'll read a bit of it. Ratcliffe, one of Britain's richest individuals, remains the only potential buyer to have so far gone public. Now, this is quite an important part because I believe that anybody who entered Manchester United's data room, now that data room was the term given to it when anybody who came forward, Jim Ratcliffe included, they said that they were formally interested. They entered the data room, they signed a non-disclosure agreement, and they got access to more financial documents. Now, Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have taken a public stance, whereas everybody else has sort of remained in the shadows, which does make it slightly difficult to decipher who the 5 serious bidders are. But we'll try our best here this morning. Rishab, let me know where you're watching from, buddy. But right. Let's continue reading through this. JP Morgan, look, I'll run through that a little bit later. Sources close to the process believe there is sufficient interest to secure a price acceptable to the Glazer family. Rain Group has received plenty of interest, even if some have been limited to making an investment rather than a full-scale takeover. Groups from around the world have contacted the Rain Group and have been given access to the data room. As I said, just ran through that. Since United announced in November that the club is for sale, insiders have regarded the United States as the most likely location for a new owner. And there has certainly been interest from American investment groups. Now, I have spoken about these investment groups before. I've spoken about Harris and Blitzer. They went in with a bid to buy Chelsea. Weren't successful. That went to Todd Bowley, and I think it's a Clear Lake something water group. Anyway, Todd Bowley and that group, they bought Chelsea. Now the Ricketts family. Now it sounds like they're ruling themselves out. Who I believe the owner also owns Chicago Cubs. Man, this is just trying to get your head, trying to absorb all this information and keeping it keeping it up there, mate. It's difficult with this one. I swear. There are so many spinning plates. So many spinning plates. There really are. Minties, let me know where you're watching from, dude. Like that little picture. That's cool. I'll try and give you a shout out if I can spot you down there. However, the Middle East has the financial muscle to top up any offer. And while a bid from Qatar has not yet landed, sources in Doha believe one could well be forthcoming before the deadline. So if we're looking at this article here, as I said, this is from the Times, at least 5 bidders are ready to meet that price. We know full well, number one, that's Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS. There's your one confirmed one that we know about. Number two, I'm going to run through more here from the Telegraph and from the Athletic. There is, by the looks of it, going to be a bid from Qatar. We still at this point don't know the structure of that. We keep hearing that the Emir of Qatar is a United fan and he has decided that he wants Qatar to invest in the Premier League. But we don't know how the structure of that's going to be. I've spoken about Qatar Sports Investment, Qatar Investment Authority. Geez, I'm not going to do that again this morning. But I will run through these articles. There's lots more information for us to really run through here. This is over now to James Ducker. Look, James Ducker, Tom Morgan, Sam Wallace, all the big hitters here from the Telegraph. Sir Jim Ratcliffe to battle Qatari, and US investors for Manchester United takeover. Let's see what the Telegraph is saying on this situation now. Sir Jim will fight it out with private Qatari investors and US consortia for Manchester United. Now, the Telegraph is actually saying there's at least 4 serious contenders, while you've got the Times and the Daily Mail, and I'm not sure whether the Athletic, where they stand on it. But there is at least 4, and by the sound of things, 5 serious contenders to buying Manchester United. And we as a community and a fan base, once we've got probably past this weekend and we can head into next week, and maybe these names really start to emerge, that's when we can start, I suppose, comparing and arguing between them, which one we would prefer. But at this moment in time, we're still kind of at the news stage. Things are developing. Once we really know the situation as a whole, that's when we can start deciding. Right. At least 4 serious contenders have emerged. And then look, beyond that 5 billion, we know full well, by the looks of it, that's going to be the price of Man United is going to be a record. Senior deal makers say Saudi Arabia is also in the frame. But the most serious Middle Eastern-based interest appears to be across the border in Doha, Qatar. This is an important one here. Telegraph Sport understands a high-powered Qatari individual and other wealthy investors are seriously considering an offer independent of the PSG ownership. This is a big part of everything that we've spoken about with Qatar so far. You'll remember the video I did on Qatar interest when I spoke specifically about Qatar Sports Investment, the group who, of course, own PSG. And I said, huge red flag, got to avoid that. It would be a minority stake. However, this here, and that's what's developed in these last, 4 or 5 days, maybe, roughly, thereabouts. When it comes to Qatari interest, all of a sudden, the conversation has changed from being a potential minority investment to a full takeover. And the Telegraph here reporting that a high-powered Qatari individual, no names involved yet, we're still waiting for that to come out, but a high-powered Qatari individual and other wealthy investors are shaping a bid up to come in for Manchester United. And I think we all know, well, we do know. But I don't know anything, actually. I know some things, but not in regards to this. We don't know what bid the Glazers would accept. But I'd be very surprised if financially Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Goldman Sachs and everything he's got there could compete with any bids that came from the Middle East. There's a conversation here. Chris, what you're saying is a super chat. You're saying Glazers have put me off American ownership for life. I'll speak about American. Man, I've done separate videos on this and the fears I have of any sort of US consortium, because they look at things differently out there. When it comes to Harrison Blitzer, they are an investment firm. Geez, what do they own? They own Harrison Blitzer. I think they own, is it the Philadelphia 76ers? I think they own the they own an NHL team as well. I think. And I think they own an MLS team and an MLB. Shit. They've got a lot of sports investment on their books. Let me go down here and see what you're saying in the comments. We don't want American owners, says Sega. We've learned from American owners. Let's try another one. The only money we need putting in this. I mean, there's a lot of money that is needed for this takeover of Manchester United. That's for sure. And this is what this is the video I'm going to do probably next week. I've seen quite a few people, and I suppose this Jim Ratcliffe conversation, which we're going to have in approximately 5 minutes time around Goldman Sachs and the idea of this debt refinancing, the idea of out the frying pan into the fire, because people see the words debt, see the words loans, see the words bonds, shit yourselves. You're like, what is this, Glazers V2? We'll run through, and it isn't exactly the same, but I have to admit I have concerns about it, right? That's what I think. There's still more to run through here. As I said, it's a big show this morning. Ratcliffe, we know full well. Nothing there. This is an interesting one. The Ricketts family there will not be among the bidders, and they were, of course, as I said, shortlisted for Chelsea, and they are the owners of Chicago Cubs. Telegraph Sport reported yesterday how several US financier-led consortiums have privately provided assurances they will bid. So this one, I would say, this is one we don't know kind of much or anything about. When it comes to Qatar and Qatari interest, as it stands, we feel pretty confident that we know what's going to be happening. There's going to be a Qatari private consortium that's going to emerge. We don't know the people involved in it, and that will come out in the goodness of time. But this idea of US financier-led consortiums, of all the red flags of anyone, Qatar, Jim Ratcliffe, anywhere, I think there's more red flags with US financier-led consortiums than there are with anywhere else. And I'm not just saying that because we've had the Glazers before. I have to admit, it does completely skew my opinion on that. But I don't like the idea of it because they very much are. US financier-led consortiums are, of course, investment-driven. They want a X return on their investment within X amount of years. That's going to be the reason they buy Manchester United. That's going to be the main driver of all the decisions that they make. I don't like the idea of that. Dave, you're saying, look, I certainly don't want the American contingent at United once bitten, twice shy. Absolutely. Gary, you're saying Ten Hag wants the right players. That doesn't necessarily mean the most expensive. Well, that's absolutely true. We know that. Penfo, you're saying these Middle Eastern guys might be waiting to see what others are willing to offer in order to come in. Sometimes when you buy a house, you get, what's it called, like closed bids. When a house owner knows that they got this house that everybody wants. I don't really need to sell it. It's just I know that everyone's going to want it. They can do closed bids, which means you just got to submit a bid without knowing what everyone else has done. And yours might be the biggest, but if you want yours to be the biggest, you're going to add a little bit on top of that. Now, we don't know what the bid structure is. We don't even know how the bids are going in. Is it something that's got to be made public? I spoke to Charles on the American attorney on this situation about what needs to be publicly announced, because United are a publicly traded company. It's not like Chelsea, where it can all be kept behind closed doors and go, oh, there you go, we decided to sell. There's certain rules and regulations that they are held to, which means they're going to have to make announcements. When is the next one? I need to go back and speak with Charles again to remember that off the top of my head. But there's going to be some announcements very soon. Stephen, we need a Manchester United fan to buy United, no matter where in the world they are from. What? I mean, whether they're a United fan or not, it doesn't necessarily. That's not a deal breaker for me. The reason that they are buying, whoever our new owner would be, the reason they are buying the club, that's huge. What are you buying the club for? Do you want to turn your 5 million into 6 billion within 3 years? So you see it as basically, it's like buying a stock on eToro. No, fuck that. Off you go. You're not suitable. Do you want Manchester United to be back at the very top, to be winning Premier Leagues, to be winning Champions Leagues, and to get all the glory that gets associated with that? You do? Right, we can start having a conversation then. Let me run through now the latest from so we've ran through the latest from Matt Lawton and the Times. James Ducker, Tom Morgan, Sam Wallace from the Telegraph. Let's quickly run through the latest from Laurie Whitwell now and The Athletic, who, I'll be honest, haven't really, they kind of been a little bit quiet in the last 24, 48 hours. I don't know why that is. Manchester United are continuing to attract interest from Qatar as the bidding process reaches a pivotal stage. We know full well that deadline is next Friday, so we've got a week today. Sources with knowledge of the situation say an offer from the Gulf state is a genuine possibility, but there is uncertainty as to whether that would result in a full takeover. And watch out, because I know you're going to shit yourselves over this next paragraph. Those sources believe a minority investment may be the starting point. That is the preferred route for Joel and Avram Glazer, who are leading the talks from the club's side. Such an outcome would render UEFA's rules about dual ownership redundant. Well, if we want to talk about red flags, that's not a red flag. That's just a. That is a. I don't know what that is. Air raid siren. Sod knows. That is as dangerous as it gets. The idea that the Glazers could, in this scenario, find a situation where they get that X amount investment for X amount percentage. I don't know. They sell off 20% of the club for £1 billion. However you want to structure it. This is the most terrifying prospect. Now, I like to think that from a United fan perspective, it feels like we're in a bit of a good position. There's going to be multiple bidders coming in for United, some of which want a full takeover, right? However, there may be some that offer minority investment. This is why it's important to keep your voice heard. It's why it's continuing. We are not out of the danger zone in any way, shape, or form yet. We are right in the middle of it. This is the eye of the storm. Getting rid of the Glazers, fantastic. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely the best thing that could happen to our club. However, what comes next, we have to make sure is correct for the club. Minority investment, that is not correct for the club. Somehow Manchester United still be in debt, that is not right for the club. We have to make sure that whatever happens next is the right and correct thing for this club. And I tell you what, it's what a time we are not living in, I suppose, but what a time for United. This season has been, my word, this season really, from a footballing perspective, on and off the pitch. Matt, wow, look at that. Matt, you just gifted 10 memberships. What an absolute dude. Thank you very much, man. Rob, Linto, Tyrell, Jack, Mandela, Anatoly, Ines. Oh, you got one as well. Progress, Frenchie, Paradox. Man, everyone say thank you very much to Matt indeed. Luca, you're going to... Hey, look, I'm not going to stop following United no matter what happens. I can't choose that. I'm a United fan. I'm locked in for life, no matter what happens. Bully, you're saying, I think Jim will wait to see what the other four put down. Well, bear in mind, by the way, that Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have been first to everything so far. They've been the first to say that they're going to bid. They've been the first to come forward and formalize their interest and say they're definitely going to be bidding. So who's to say that they won't officially put their bid in first? They've been first to it so far. That's something to absolutely remember. What are you saying down there? Mania? You're saying, I appreciate the transparency of Sir Jim's camp. It's an interesting... Basically, it's an angle that they've taken, because as I say, when you get access to that data room, I believe you have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, so you can't speak about anything that you've got written there. But it feels like INEOS and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they've gone public because they feel that there's something to gain from that. Right? Maybe you can say I'm being cynical in this, but I don't think I am. There's a reason that they have gone public. There's a reason that they are keeping INEOS and Sir Jim Ratcliffe sort of high up in the conversation. I think it's part of the strategy. It's part of their strategy to try and buy Manchester United. There's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out, and then there's still more to read. There's so much more to read, and we're going to have a live community chat around Jim Ratcliffe and around this debt refinancing, and I'll speak to you about that. Val, you're saying, look, we are hearing a lot about the conflict between Qatar owning PSG, but Sir Jim owns Nice. Is that not a conflict also? It's an interesting comment, and Val, somebody DM'd me yesterday to ask me about that too. Now, of course, INEOS own Nice, who compete in Liga, the French top tier. Now, the only rules that it's going to conflict with is if Nice build up, and they get into the Champions League, Manchester or the Europa League. Manchester United and Nice get into the same competition, and then there could be problems. But it comes down, this is where it comes down to having the right corporate lawyers involved. Because you're looking at Red Bull Salzburg and Red Bull Leipzig, both Red Bull clubs, both played each other in the Europa League because they proved that their structures behind the scenes were, I think UEFA made the ruling that it's clear that they're not influenced by the same people. There's different people in charge. So UEFA was satisfied that they were considered two different entities. So if Nice and Manchester United ever reached that point, it would be down to the structure behind the scenes, making sure that, I know, United couldn't have the same directors as Nice. I mean, that's a given anyway. But they would have to be completely and utterly separate in that sense. But that's getting way complicated. That really, really is. Oh, how you doing, buddy, there? I can see your name. Vicky, you're saying I'm against a full fan ownership, but would like a good stake of fan ownership. What's your opinion? Well, 50+1 is the dream, isn't it? I think it's probably an unrealistic dream given how much United is worth, given the size of United, but maybe I'm a little bit wrong in saying that. But 50+1 is the dream. The idea that Manchester United fans ultimately have control over the major decisions that affect our football club. It is the German business model. And yeah, I think it's a fucking brilliant model, personally. Matthew, you're saying owner to come in, clear our debt, build a new stadium, have a desire to win trophy. Importantly, communicate with our fans and listen to our wishes so they are heard. Now, Matt, I'm definitely going to be encouraging everyone in the community to come forward. I'm going to do that. You can call it a manifesto if you want, but I'm just going to, in my opinion, draw down a list of, right, these are 5, 6, 7, 8, however many things that I really, really want this new owner to do and to be part of the takeover. And I'm going to try and list them in ranking order. So if you do have any, slide into you can leave it as a comment here, but I won't be able to take it away from this conversation. So slide into my DMs, go on Twitter or Instagram. I don't know. Send me what you think. If you're a member, go into the Telegram community chat. Drop me a message. I don't know. Bully. If no offense, everyone, I love you, but if I have 5 billion, I think I'd be doing other things. No, I wouldn't. I'd still be here. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? Sandy, how you doing down there? Man, I tell you what, the amount of gifted memberships you all send in, I can not only hire people and bring them on board, we may as well. Let's just go and buy Man United with gifted memberships. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Micah, Ra, Shamim, Chris, and Mark, you were the lucky 5 there. Say thank you very much to Sandy. Thank you very much, Sandy, man. Absolute legend. Now, if we go over here to what Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail was saying. Now, you'll remember that it was Mike Keegan who sort of first broke the story about Qatar and the idea that they might be coming for a full takeover. It's a fair play. And he's going with the same story that Matt Lawton is in the Times. He's saying 5 bidders are ready, and so is Mike Keegan. So whether it's 4 or whether it's 5, I'm going to run through what I'm going to do, as I always do here, right? I like to do different forms of content because I know that people absorb content differently. Loads of you, all of you here, you love joining in on the morning live stream. Lots of people don't have that time. That's why I do my short videos at midday. So at midday today, roughly thereabouts, I'm going to do a video on these serious bidders. Who are they? Break them down, a little bit of information on all of them so you can get a complete summary in 10 minutes if this is too much talking for you. But yeah, 5 bidders there. You got Sky Sports saying that following it up and saying, look, we're talking about an interest from a private investor in Qatar. We don't know who that is, and someone's going to be coming forward. I'll tell you what, Red or Dead, this has all gone a little bit quiet on the Dubai front, isn't it? Dubai was the first Middle Eastern state to be linked. And I did a lot of detail on that, a lot of information and videos and interviews. And then it's kind of gone a little bit quiet there, isn't it? And now Qatar has taken over. And we're still here. And I said, as soon as I saw this idea here that Sky Sports are reporting, everyone's reporting. As soon as I heard the idea that there could be private Qatari investors that come in to try and buy Manchester United, I expect the same thing to happen from Saudi Arabia, because if Qatar could do it and they own PSG, then I imagine Saudi Arabian private investors could do it because they own Newcastle. If they can separate it in Qatar, they must be able to separate it in Saudi Arabia. So watch this space is effectively what I would say. Red Smurf, you're saying whoever takes the debt on debt via loans won't be doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. It will be taken out of the profits to pay. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that it'll be taken out of the profits to pay, but I will now be moving on to talk about this Jim Ratcliffe development that happened yesterday, and I want to get your opinions as a community. Sandy, you're saying surprised that there's no Asian interest to buy. Yeah, we've heard a bit. I would say interest from Asia has been tentative. I think there might be rules to stop Chinese. Is there any rules to stop China? Well, not China, but firms, investors from China buying in the Premier League? I think there might be some sort of rules on that. I can't remember. Man, Sky Sports used to be the one. Whatever happened to them? What an absolute shit show now. Who would invest in a company that you can't get return on? Robin, you're saying, Sam, is it not funny that we are close to selling our club? Hey, look, unlucky Liverpool. Unlucky Liverpool. That's what you get for being an absolutely abysmal club. They're not an abysmal club. They are an abysmal club. Red Smurf, one absolute don, gifting 5 memberships. Who are the lucky 5 there? Got to keep reading these names out. JM, Big Guy, Fergal, Ash, Bobby Nolevsky. You sound dangerous. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you very much, Vicky. And thank you very much to all of you for making this community what it is. Friday is vibey. Got the map coming up a little bit later in the show. Dave, you're saying, what happens to all the stories about the Q8 royal family? Has there been many stories? Q8s, if there's been some stories on Q8, it hasn't really been too loud, I don't think. Well, I don't think so anyway. Now, let's run through, as I said, probably one of the most important talking points this morning. Okay? And that's this. The story that developed yesterday, I've already covered this in a video yesterday, but I'll speak about it live with you as a community now. Bloomberg reporting yesterday that Jim Ratcliffe has gone to JP Morgan as from a financial advice perspective. That's not really major news. Now, you can argue about whether JP Morgan's the correct one or not, given their involvement with Ed Woodward, given their involvement in the Glazers, given their involvement in the European Super League. But a company getting outside financial advice on a mega billion deal, yeah, it's not too much of a surprise. It's the Goldman Sachs situation, which has some United fans concerned. And let's read this. British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe has lined up banks, including the Goldman Sachs Group, to provide debt financing for a bid to buy Manchester United. The banks are prepared to back a takeover offer with bonds and loans. According to the person who asked not to be identified, if a bid is made, the banks will cover the value of Manchester United's existing debt, which stands at roughly $800 million, and potentially go much higher. Goldman Sachs is also advising Ratcliffe alongside JP Morgan as he studies the feasibility of one of the world's biggest brands in football. Deliberations are ongoing and there's no certainty that Ratcliffe will proceed to a bid. Representatives for everyone declined to comment. But this here is the part that has United fans worried, scared. Is this Glazer V2? What's going on here with Jim Ratcliffe and Goldman Sachs? So, to summarize this, if there's anybody here that's got a little bit more financial expertise than me, mine's limited. But as far as I can understand this is debt refinancing. This would be the debt of Manchester United is 800 million. And that's multiple different loans, all with different structures and deals and terms. It's got to be paid back over X amount of years, and the interest is X. And it's all different loans. The idea of debt refinancing would be that Jim Ratcliffe gets one loan from Goldman Sachs Group that pays off all of that debt. That Manchester United technically become debt-free. INEOS then absorb that debt. And then INEOS is then liable for that one loan that is taken out to cover all of the other debt at Manchester United. And therefore, the debt would be transferred away from United to INEOS. It would go on their books. They would be liable to pay that debt. They would have to pay the interest on that debt. They would have to service that debt, not Manchester United, which is a good thing. However, and this was what I said on this situation. I say, look, the one thing I would say about the concept of Ratcliffe and Goldman Sachs taking on United's debt, it still means that debt is associated with the club. Now, or you're right there. It would make Manchester United debt-free. As far as our books go, every single year now, there wouldn't be X amount paid on interest on servicing a loan. There wouldn't be X amount of debt left on the club. The debt would leave. However, and this is what I say there is still an association of debt that comes along with it. And that's what I said there. I said, look, we don't know what's going to be happening in the markets. Shit, nobody predicted that COVID was going to happen. And that lasted years. What happens if there's a huge market crash and all of a sudden the terms of the interest, the loan that he gets from Goldman Sachs, all of a sudden changes and the interest rates fly up? Surely that could then have a knock-on decision. Well, not a knock-on effect, sorry, on the decision-making process at Manchester United. Because the debt, whilst not being United's, would still be associated with Manchester United. Anthony is saying, would INEOS use profits to service the loan? Well, no, because that would mean they'd have to take dividends out of the club. And they can't, well, it's not that they couldn't do that, but, well, that would be all hell breaking loose. Kuzo, you're saying INEOS would repay the debts through the other investments. Well, I'm not saying here that this is completely ruling out the idea of Jim Ratcliffe as Manchester United's owners. But I don't like I'm sorry, I understand the logic of it all. I really do. It's debt refinancing. It's moving it all away from United. It's going to INEOS. They're now liable for the debt. They pay the interest on that debt. That's not Manchester United's debt anymore. Our club is debt-free. However, there would still therefore be £800 million or dollars worth of debt associated to our club. And I don't like that. So it's not technically clearing the debt. It's shifting the liability of the debt. Now, as far as INEOS goes, 800 million, I mean, geez, what, their revenues were 50 billion last year? So it's kind of like a drop in the ocean. They're a very, very stable company, famous last words, and there's no doubt that they could absorb that and it wouldn't really affect them that much. I just do not like it. I do not like the idea of shifting debt rather than just simply clearing it. Now, I'm going to have to speak. Hopefully, I can get a conversation and an interview with Kieran Maguire on this. You remember I spoke to Kieran before, financial expert, the guru when it comes to finances, because he will be able to give me far more information than what I know. But I'm just telling you from what I know, it doesn't rule out the idea of INEOS for me. And there's a comment there saying, look, Tony's saying, I've noticed everybody's sort of switching stances on Sir Jim. It's not that am I switching start? I think everybody pretty much from day one has had concerns about whether or not INEOS and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid of Manchester United would be big enough. They would have the liquidity and the cash to come in and give United what they need. And there's two ways of looking at this. Number one, they either don't, and that's why they need to go to the bank to get X amount of money to pay for the debt. Or number two, they see that as the more strategic alternative rather than just paying X amount of cash to clear the debt. They'd rather refinance that debt because they feel like over the long term, it will be more beneficial from a financial perspective to them. And that's probably the more likely of the two. I'm going to see down there. Ben, it's kind of a fair point. Of course they could, but why wouldn't you just do it then? I imagine this is probably more business as far as they look on the books from a more business sense. I don't know. I do not know. But I'll be honest. I don't like it. I'm not sure. You know how we've spoken about this for quite a long time now, about the natural position of pessimism of United fans when it comes to our football. It's like, oh, you go, another false dawn. And it's taken us a good old few months to sort of actually genuinely start believing in Ten Hag rather than thinking, no, I've been here before. I've got a massive fucking mistrust of any sort of owner. And that is going to take a lot longer than a few months to disappear. So I think it's right that we scrutinize everybody. Look, I've scrutinized Jim Ratcliffe. I've scrutinized his ownership of Nice. I've scrutinized Dubai and scrutinized everything there. And you know what I'm going to be doing further down the line? This really was quite an eye-opening article from Jonathan Liu. And I keep hearing people accusing me of just brushing over and ignoring anything to do with human rights, to do with Qatar. It's not the case at all. I've done a huge interview with Nick McGeehan, who's a human rights, he works with an NGO on human rights to speak about Dubai. And I will do the same with Qatar. But as in the current position we are in, I'm trying to cover all of the news before we then take a deeper dive and look into those situations and conversations. And I will be doing that a little bit further down the line. But yeah, for a lot of United fans, this idea of debt refinancing is a scary one. It is one that they don't really want. But it's, you know what? We've all said this before, and it's the ultimate truth of all of this. There's not a fucking good billionaire. That's why the billionaires. How many nice billionaires are there in the world? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but they're anomalies in the world of billionaires. It's the whole idea. If you're a billionaire, you've had to stamp on some heads to get there in the first place. So there is no Disney owner, and I said on the surface that there was probably no more of a potential Disney owner than Jim Ratcliffe. That's funny. That's really funny. Man, I spent so much of my uni time studying 19th and 20th century Russian history. Jeez, that's taking me right back. Start a revolution. Let's go. Let's get it done, people. That's funny. That really is funny. But as you can tell, this is far from over. In fact, weirdly, this is only just about to get started. All the things that we've covered: Dubai, Apple, Amazon, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Harrison Blitzer, Jim Ratcliffe, that's 7. And I'm sure there's more that I haven't actually mentioned. All these different potential owners of Manchester United. And within a week now, we are really going to know exactly who it is coming forward. And I've said, in my personal opinion, the single most important thing about our new owners is to make sure that Manchester United becomes a debt-free football club. We don't need the same sort of scale of investment that PSG did, that Man City did, because of who we are, because of what we are. We are still one of the biggest 3 clubs in world football. And we've not won the Premier League in nearly 10 years. We've not won the Champions League since 2008. The legacy of our club's success means our revenues are still nearly 700 million euros a year. We do need new owners. We do need an influx of cash, more so for the infrastructure behind the scenes than anything else. But we need to become more self-sustainable and be able to spend our own profits properly. That for me is the single most important thing, becoming debt-free again. Ray, you're saying, hi Sam, very correct to be concerned, especially what happened now. We at United want to move away from ownership problems. There will be problems no matter who our new owners are going to be. All right? There is not going to be a perfect scenario that suits all United fans. There will be debates no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome is. Alex, I spoke about the, what did you say there? Did you talk about the Liga going after Barca again on money? I haven't actually seen that. But no doubt they should be. You know, in the same way the Premier League's going after Man City, the La Liga should be going after Barca. The way they're cooking their books, man. The way they are cooking their books. Mark, don't look at the money. Look at a passionate owner. Ratcliffe is a guy. The guy can lose it. We'll get into the. As I said, at this moment in time, we are still at the news stage. We are still absorbing all the news about all the potential new owners that are coming in, right? Next week, once we get these formal bidders in, that's when I believe we can properly scrutinize. And I've already done my scrutiny. I've done a deep dive on Jim Ratcliffe and Nice. I've done a full interview on Dubai and the issues behind the scenes there. And I will do the same thing with Qatar. I will do the same thing with any Saudi interest. I will do the same thing with any US interest. But what a mad time we got coming up. Look, I'm sure there are plenty of you that maybe are new here. Welcome to United People's TV. Please, would you consider subscribing? I do try and cover this. I'm here Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. And there's also short videos. There's also research videos going out. I love to have you as part of the community. Fatty, you're saying, I don't think SJR fast, but oil will? I have no idea what that means. No, that might be a typo. Some of you, I'm not saying you there, some of you need to read your comments before you type them in. You get excited and just type it in. I'm like, what? I have no idea. Let's quickly, I was going to speak about Kobbie Mainu because he signed a new contract yesterday. I just want to say big up to Kobbie Mainu. Big up to Manchester United for getting him to sign that deal. I really do think that this is a fantastic move from United. He is a heck of a prospect. And Erik ten Hag is the perfect manager to be in charge of this United squad when we've just won the FA Youth Cup. Got Garnacho who's broken through from that. McNeil's gone out on loan. Let's see if he can nail it, come back, maybe become a striker inside this squad. But Kobbie Mainu really is, for me, the prospect. I'm looking forward to seeing him develop. Now, Marshall, with everything, I wanted nothing more than to do a video. I've done a little short video that went out this morning. Check out YouTube Shorts on TikTok and Instagram as well. I want nothing more than to do a video today on Jamie Carragher and Martinez. But there's too many important things happening at my football club to go there and slap Carragher upside the head. So that's going to have to wait until next week. Lunchtime today is going to be all about new owners. As much as I want to like laugh and have a good joke, there's more prevalent and important things there. Now, quickly, before we do finish the show here, there's 2 more things to do. We're going to be bringing the map up in a bit, right? I haven't forgotten about that. You just got to wait for the end of the show. But this was the team that we started against Leeds on Wednesday night, where we drew 2-2. What changes would you make? You let me know in the comments, because my starting 11 video is not going to go out until Saturday at 9 a.m. That's when my starting 11 for Leeds going out, because today, it would normally go out today, but as I said, it's too important what's going on with the new owners. That's where my focus is. So that's what the video we're going out today. But yeah, what changes would you make to that team? Because I think Erik ten Hag will probably make a couple of changes. I don't know whether we'll be seeing Weghorst start this game. I think this could be a game where he drops to the bench. You've got Yogi, you're saying Sancho in for Garnacho. I know that this is going to be one that quite a few of you agree with. I do think we'll probably be seeing Sancho come in and start here. Eric Ten Hag needs to get control of the midfield. Well, Leeds played a certain tactic that really thwarted our midfield completely. Rashford replacing Weghorst as a striker. Well, you could well see that then. And if you're going to play Sancho, you might see him out on the right wing. And then you may well see Garnacho down there. I think that's what you're suggesting in the comments. Anthony back. We don't know whether Anthony is back. Lindelof for Fred. I don't think we'll be seeing that. That's a wild move. Imagine we go into a game and Leeds away with Lindelof and Sabitzer as our midfield. Would love to see Mainu, but it'll probably be Sab and Fred. I think it'll be Sab and Fred. I'd be surprised if you drop Fred. Like, I know that Fred had, let's be honest, an absolute poopy stinker against Leeds on Wednesday night. We haven't got anybody else. Like, there's nobody fit. There's nobody fit inside this squad in central midfield apart from Sabitzer and Fred. Casemiro's suspended. Eriksen's out until the end of this, well, until May. Van der Beek's out for the season. McTominay's out for, we don't know how long McTominay's out for. But I think you'll be seeing changes. And I'll be honest, I don't think that team's going to be too far off it. I think we'll go for a little bit more dynamism, a little bit more speed. That's what worked. That's what broke Leeds down. And I think we'll be doing that from the start. So this isn't going to be a game for Weghorst, in my opinion. Shaw centre back. Martinez in the 6. Eric Ten Hag, he's actually not particularly ruled that out now. Now maybe you will see that. That'll be a bit of an interesting one. I'll always, until the point where Martinez actually starts in defensive midfield, I don't even think it's possible. But let's find out. But look, it's the last few minutes of the show. It's Friday. You know what that means. It's map day, baby. So you let me know where you're watching from. Not only the country you're watching from, but also the town. If we have a quick look at the map here, we've got how many points now? We've got 388. We started this, I don't know how long ago we started this. But I love this. Look at this. Look at this community, man. All around the world. North America and Canada down there. We need some in central Brazil. We need a little bit more repping for North Africa. A little bit more repping for Russia, Kazakhstan. Anybody? Anybody in Mongolia watching? But let's see where you're watching. Mike Taylor. You're watching from Charlotte in North Carolina. I'm going to break my own rules here. I've seen you about here, but make sure next time you don't need to shove it in caps, my friend. All right, I'm going to break my own rules there. But I've seen you around here for quite a while, so I will get you on there. Charlotte in North Carolina. Anybody who does, by the way, you don't need, as I said, you don't need to put everything in caps because I do read your comments and it kind of feels like you're shouting at me. Let me see where else you're watching from. We've got Anatoly watching from Wiesbaden in Germany. Man, I love Germany. I haven't been there in years. Who was that last time? Can't remember. Go through. Wiesbaden, Hesse in Germany. Jawohl. Where else we got down here? Let's go for a couple more. We've got Andrew watching from Victoria in Australia. That's definitely on here. I think we had one. I'm pretty sure we had one set up. Can someone help him about a Premier Fantasy League? I think we did. I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure we did. Got Marius watching from Hörnefoss. I'm going to go for that. There we go. Hörnefoss. Let's get one more on here. I'm feeling happy. It's Friday. Let me see. Let me quickly see down here. Who else we got? We've got. Remember, you've got to put the town and the country because everybody. Yeah, there's too many places. We've got Kevin watching from Daphne in Alabama, baby. I'd love to go. I'd love to, where have I been? I've been Vegas. That's the only place I've been in North America. I'd like to go visit some more. But big up to everyone who joins in it. Honestly, it'll put such a smile on your face. If you could see what I see down here about how many people at this point always fire in your comments. It's class. I absolutely, genuinely do love this community and what we've built here and what we're building as a football club. Ten Hag on the pitch, we're starting to get there. But we are about to enter the period now that we've waited nearly 20 years for as fans. New owners of this club, it's happening. The Glazers, hopefully, with a full sail. I'll be covering it as much as possible. There'll be a video going out today at lunchtime that's going to be a shorter version of this one. Who are the 5 billiards? Billiards? Who are the 5 bidders? I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. So in case you've missed this one, I'll make sure that you cover it all inside that video. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., my Leeds 11 will go out. Then the game against Leeds is on Sunday. All of this craziness is happening off the pitch, and we're playing every 3. Fuck, we play Barcelona next Thursday. And I'll tell you what, I think I made a good call deciding not to go to Barcelona, because I would just get wrecked for 2-3 days. And next Friday is the deadline. So I think I made a little bit of a good call. As sad as it is, I'm not going. But thank you all for tuning in. I'll be here on Monday. Hopefully nothing breaks tonight, because I'm trying to give myself a night off. But you can't have nights off these days. But look, thank you everyone for tuning in, for joining in. And all of you saying like, Sam, just bring me Barry.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
I think that's the first Barry of the week, actually. Come on, Barry. There he is. There he was. I need to get him on this channel at some point. Have a cracking weekend, everyone. Big up to everyone who gifted memberships. You're all absolute legends. And I'll see you on Monday.